Even though the term Black philanthropy has only been around for a couple of decades, the practice has its origins in African traditions and practices. What are your origins in Black philanthropy?
Probably started with the jail and prison and mission ministry,
Okay.
you know, going to those types of places and then realizing that it's and donating. We went as a part of a group that preached Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I started realizing when I went to those places that they needed money too.
Mm-hmm.
So I continued the ministry, and I think that was kind of the love part. But then I started kind of regularly donating to, and as I think that's where it started, and then it kind of grew from there. Because you once your mind is in that, once you're in that mindset, you start to see more, and you start to reach out more, and so I think that's how I started.
Okay. And just because I know you so well, I would probably say you started long, long before that. Because I can remember, just coming to your house as a kid and, being treated like I was your child. And it wasn't just me, it was a whole group of us that would come and spend weekends or, whatever you had for your kids, you had for us. And so I think sometimes we think of in the Black community when long before we had, lots of money, we had lots of love, like you said, for each other and lots of advice. And you are an excellent storyteller. And so you always made sure that we knew the history of, whether it was biblical or whether it was African American history or if it was just the community in the neighborhood and the stories of the people that grew up on 24th Street.
That's interesting. Even though I said love was a part of it, I didn't really think about that. Some people they don't understand my family because my family is big. you know, I truly believe in extended family. So yeah, and you have been my child. Yeah. I guess I didn't really think about that, but I'm glad.
For me, it really goes back to my church and my family, the community I grew up in Western North Carolina. Just saw examples of everyday philanthropy all around me, and was inspired by that. And those were my lessons for how to give back, how to be a part of a community, how to give freely and philanthropically. And while perhaps the phrase Black philanthropy might be somewhat new, I often say that we ain't new to this, but we're true to this. Going back to W.E.B. Du Bois in 1904, he noted the significance of our giving and that Black people were more inclined to be philanthropic than any other race in the country. And he was looking back at the 1800s, and there are innumerable examples of Black people engaging in philanthropy. Going back before this country was officially the United States. And in fact, our ways of giving helped shape what we now know and call American philanthropy.
It goes back to my parents again and my grandparents. When my parents and my grandparents cooked, it was not unusual for whoever they knew, because most of the people who lived in the neighborhoods knew each other well, and they shared. We have a tendency now in the 21st century to want to hide our lack.
Right.
We want everyone to think that we are, well, balling out of control or whatever the dialogue is now. But people would often share when someone lost a job or if there was a death in the family and you had people coming in from other parts of the state or the country, and you were like, what are we going to do about food? What are we going to do about lodging? Because when I was growing up decades ago, hotels weren't welcoming, and there were only a few lodging houses that Black people could or were welcome to live in. So the doors were always open. If on Sunday, it was nothing for people to just say, you all come over and eat. I've got this. Did you have something to cook? Because you're going to see your neighbors, and you're going to see your neighbors. Then we sat out on the porch a lot, especially good weather. And you could see if your neighbor was sitting on the porch all day and hadn't gone in to eat, that there was nothing to eat. And many of them were honest enough to say, look, my kids are hungry. That was always the first priority, feed the kids.
Right.
My kids are hungry. I don't know of anyone on the streets that I grew up on that turned anyone away. Yeah. Sometimes instead of you having 2 pieces of fried chicken, you had one because you had to share with someone who had none.
Right.
Absolutely.
My origins start with my mom and my grandparents, and seeing how my grandfather was a Christian Methodist Episcopal minister, and my grandmother went on to do that as well. So being a minister of a church, seeing how they gave their time to the church community, and they also gave literally their talents, whether it's preaching or whether it's playing a song, which is what my grandmother was, a concert pianist, to my mom, who contributed so much for me as a single mom, and then to our community, our neighborhood, a neighborhood where public assistance, public housing. She went on to become the manager of the apartment complex that we lived in, and worked with youth after school, providing assistance to the residents to access the internet and get on computers and build their resumes. So my family is the origin of the philanthropy that I've seen, and we're a family of teachers and ministers, and my mom's gone on to be a minister. So so it's how we operate, and so that's where my origins started, and I'm thrilled to be in the practice of it through the giving circle that I'm a part of, New Generation of African American Philanthropists, and through the work that I do at Knight Foundation.